Well, hadn't been in the water this year. Good as time as any. Wonder how cold it is. Awesome. Sure is nice to have a creek to play in right in the yard. I consider myself very blessed. Okay, here we go. Oh yeah. Woo! I haven't fished this thing yet, but well, a little bit, but not much. I caught a sucker and a brim, but I haven't like seriously went after trout or anything, but I just know they're in here. There's just too much water for them not to be in here. I had mentioned some time ago, maybe last year sometime in a video, that I had met a gentleman who lived around here his whole life, and he remembers when this property was a greenhouse that was kind of underground. I just thought that was cool. I ran into him again yesterday, and he was telling me more about it. He said that the greenhouse was the whole length of the property, and we're talking like our property is like 750 feet long, and he said almost all of it, if not all of it, plus the neighbors, was of the greenhouse, which was built underground, which is so weird. I said, well, why would they do that? Didn't they think about floods? And he says, you know, they didn't have any codes back then. I'm wondering what they were growing in that thing. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, when it went belly up, because after his second year, the river came up, the creek came up and flooded it. But anyways, it went from just past those trees, and it went all the way down to the end where it's dark down there, way down there, and then some, because the neighbor has a little pond, and he said when they were filling it in, they ran out of dirt, and that's why that pond was still there. So that thing was probably 800 or 900 feet worth, which is just hard for me to understand, but wow, that's huge. That explains why all these hunks of concrete are all around the property. They're, according to this gentleman, they are underground the whole length of this property. And that makes sense, because the guy who we hired to run a new line had to use a backhoe. He couldn't get through it with a ditch witch because there was all that concrete. And they were like, what's all that? They didn't know anything about it. Well, neither did I at the time. But there's like big concrete chunks. This is the stuff that the people digging the new line for the well ran into. That's massive. I imagine what they did was figured out where it was, how to get out of the way of it while they were digging with their backhoe to put the line in. Because it's a long ways from this well all the way to the cabin up there. That's a good bit. I think he finally found his way around it, and that's cool. But the gentleman was telling me that at one time he owned across the creek, which is over there. He owned that, and he owned the whole creek and 6 feet from the water on this side. And after this guy who had the greenhouses went belly up because of the floods, that the property ended up in someone's hands who wanted to make lots out of it, creek lots, and sell it. And so that gentleman who owned across sold him and changed the border line to the center of the creek. That's why we own to the center of the creek, and so do the people across. But it's cool to find out history of your, you know, of your property and what's going on. I really get into it. It's really nice to meet somebody who has the answers and is willing to take the time to explain and answer your questions. This man was very gracious. I think he enjoyed sharing the stories of catching catfish in this creek and playing in it as a child. While we were talking, I remembered the little spring that I found last year that, by the way, came back about two weekends ago. And he said, yeah, right across the street was a big barn and there was a farm, and the people who worked there would drink from a spring that was right there. So that's about 75 feet uphill from where my little spring comes and goes. And he called it a wet weather spring. Maybe this time it'll stay. It sure was nice to get a little bit of background and history about the place, though. Well, I can see. Well, that kind of brightens up the world. That changes everything. They look 10 times better. I still need to glaze them and paint them, and I will. But yay, the glass is fairly clean. Well, I think I'm gonna start with the hood over the outside kitchen for my next little fun to do. I think I'll put a board across there and a couple of posts, maybe one right there and maybe one right there. Well, let's see what happens.
Sometimes I just wanna laugh, sometimes I don't even try. Sometimes I know where I'm at, sometimes I just don't know why. Sometimes I just want to smile, sometimes I feel really mean, sometimes I feel really mellow, sometimes I just wanna scream. Take it apart, look at the pieces.
Wow, the hood's coming along fine. I need some more metal cut to this length. I think I'll shift gears and go work on that wall-mounted toilet. To get from the thin wall to the regular PVC, they recommended this rubber boot. I think it's going to work just fine. So, I already made me a couple of marks when I got it exactly where I wanted it. Didn't take long to dry. All right. I need to cut a really short piece of pipe. So to get a good straight line, I put the fitting on and make a nice straight mark. That worked good. Huh. Boss man sleeping on the job again. Okay. smooth the edges off a little bit. Just using a rock. Seems to be working. Okay. Okay. Yay. All right. The rough plumbing for the toilet is there. Now I have to connect it from this little tiny house to the septic tank. Jan's doing the hard work while I get to play. And the boss man, he's watching us both. Awesome. I'm so glad that that job is done. Now I'll just get Jan to go take a shower so I can test for leaks. All right, the rough plumbing is definitely done. I got the hole plugged and the sinkhole plugged. Yay! Next, I guess, as far as plumbing goes, I got to get the water line. Yep, looking good. Very happy. I'll watch it a day or two and then I'll cover it up. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, I've got some metal to cut. Yay! That's pretty cool. I like it. This would be a nice outdoor kitchen. I'll put me a wall here and leave that open, this open. It's been a couple of days with no leaks, so I'm feeling pretty confident. I'm gonna go ahead and fill it in. Woohoo! Another week with some great progress on the Shed to Tiny House. This is really a fun project. I'm digging it. Hey, thanks for coming along. See you next time.